It shows that the stream is live on my screen.
Yes, it just came live on my screen too. Well, I don't know about anyone else out there, but the heat in northern New Jersey and New York has been absolutely tremendous. But welcome to the Urban Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Anna Banks, and today we have a very special guest. Well, and she's also a good friend of mine. Her name is Becky Spieth, and she is the CEO and founder of Leaders Empowered LLC. Now, Becky is a certified business performance coach and a master in leadership and talent development. Now, you won't be able to notice this, but this young lady has over 3 decades of experience in helping people to build their business and do it successfully. Now, in this episode titled Empowering High Performance Leaders, Empowering Leaders to Achieve Unparalleled Results, Becky is going to share her insights on strategic business building, empowering leaders, and optimizing team performance. And I don't know what's happening in some of your companies, but team performance right now is something that is very critical. Her journey from beauty school, now can you tell how gorgeous she is, to becoming a top executive and sought after coach is nothing short of inspiring and inspirational. So let's welcome Becky Spieth to the Urban Entrepreneur Show. So welcome, Becky, to our show today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I've been waiting to be able to do this with you. I'm really excited.
Well, me too. Even with all of the live stream problems that we had a little bit earlier, it was like, Lord, come on now. But I just want to tell and share with our listening and viewing audience just a little bit more about you, Becky. Now, Becky is a distinguished senior management professional and certified leadership executive performance coach through the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches. Now, again, like I said, with over 3 decades of experience, she is renowned for her expertise in leadership and talent development, employing innovative coaching techniques to achieve business excellence. As I said, I always try to bring you guys the best, and Becky is definitely one of them. She has been recognized as a woman who has worked with Fortune 100 companies, federal agencies, nonprofits, you name it, you got it. And no, it's not Toyota.
I've worked for Toyota.
Oh, no, she did. Oh my God.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? So it was Toyota.
It was Toyota.
And so, Becky, again, I just wanted people just to know just a little bit more about who and the caliber of people that we're bringing to this platform. So, Becky, is there anything else that I missed that you wanted me to mention?
You know, one of the things that I'm really loving in my season of business right now is that I really love to help entrepreneurs really make a successful business. And I have the privilege of being on faculty with the Maxwell Leadership Certified team. And I work in their English department, or their English division, actually. And I specialize in business building. And so I'm loving that aspect. And I work with a top AI agency helping on their faculty as well. And we can, talk about those details in just a little bit. But that's some of the things that I'm really loving right now. It's been an incredible journey as an entrepreneur. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. And so it's been my whole life. And I'm just excited to be here and be able to take this next step.
Well, I'm excited that you're here to not only, share your wisdom and experience with my guests. I mean, with my audience, but also with me, because I am a lifelong learner. So I am always ready. I have my pen because some things I still use a pen for.
Me too.
I have my pen all ready, to start taking down some great notes that I know that you're going to drop on us. So, Becky, we're talking about really helping businesses with strategic business building. So, you've had an extensive experience in this area. From your early days in direct sales, which I forgot to mention, as well as founding your own consulting business. So, can you share some key strategies that entrepreneurs can implement to achieve business performance, sustainable growth, and especially given your experience in transforming challenging situations and, I dare say, people into successful ventures and cooperative people?
I think that's key, really, I think the first thing that I would recommend as far as a strategy goes is to embrace adaptability, because things are always changing, right? I was in high school getting ready to go into college, and was offered many scholarships to attend Michigan State University, specializing in agricultural communications. And I took the summer to work at General Motors. And one day I just realized, you know what? I'm not loving this. I don't know that I want to do this for the rest of my life. And it just really struck me. And I didn't know where my life was going to lead. So I had a conversation with my mom, who was my best advisor at the time. And I said, I just can't do this. And I said, I'd really like to go to beauty school. And it was a big shift because I had all these scholarships. I had already been on, radio programs and television programs as a host, like all kinds of things at such a really young age. And I really thought that was what I was going to do. And I liked it. But there was just something missing in my soul, because I wanted to interact with people. I wanted people to feel good about themselves at the end of the day. And I needed that human interaction. And so I decided to drop out, and I went to beauty school, and I fell in love with that model and just started following my passion. So I would say, a couple of things: embrace that adaptability and really follow your heart. I use an acronym called Wildly Successful, and it's what I like doing. And if you'll be wildly successful, if you really embrace not only the changes going on around you, but really listen to God, say yes when he says to move, and make sure that it aligns with your heart, because he says he's going to give you the desires of your heart. And so that would be probably one of the first things. And then leverage your network is really important, because it's about relationships. And like you mentioned, some people can be challenging, but then you've also got those people that are in your corner, right? And what I did to build my business so successfully when I started my consulting business was to really leverage my relationships. And one of the places I did that was with the Women's Chamber. And they brought me on as an expert speaker on business building and helping coach executives. And they always had a spotlight speaker. And so they were like somebody in the community that, owned a business or something. Well, they sat us always at the same table. But because we were getting ready to speak, or we were speaking, there wasn't the opportunity to connect, which was awesome. So I want to break this down for you first. Like, I agreed to volunteer and give of myself first, right? Then I get to meet amazing people and start developing these relationships. But because we couldn't talk, I'd say, oh, let's go to lunch this week. But because they positioned me as the expert, these top level C-suite people that I struggled to get past the gatekeeper with, they couldn't wait. I mean, I was top on their calendar. So I started leveraging these relationships, and it developed trust and loyalty. And then I would ask this question, which I want to encourage you. You've probably heard where people will say, like, okay, ask the, who do you know that I should know question. But I added something onto it that made all the difference, because it kept me up in those C-suites and with those CEOs. And I would say, who do you know that I should know that is equally as sharp as you?
Ooh.
And then that put me up back into that level, right? So there's a little nugget right there for you. So you want to make sure that you do that. Next strategy I would probably recommend would be to focus on value creation.
Mm.
We've got to know and let our customers know that we understand them and we understand what they need, because a lot of times they don't know what they need. They just know they're in pain. And then we've got to be their Tylenol. We got to be their painkiller. Okay. And so when we can, just kill that pain by focusing on creating more value, that's going to be something that's going to be invaluable for building your business. And then going into like operational efficiency, that's always really important, staying on top of like the latest technology and being at that cutting edge of things, but to streamline that, because a lot of times we keep adding in and adding in. What we need to do is take away and simplify.
Yeah.
So we focus on excellence, focus on super serving, exceed the expectations. And you can do this by focusing on valuing others and then simplifying your systems.
Oh, I love that. First of all, I love the wild.
Because we're wild, right?
I absolutely love the wild. Not only because it was an acronym, but just because. I'm always wearing red, so like that's my wild, right?
Yep.
But I love that. That is really, I think that's really key for a lot of people, because that's one of the reasons why people jump into business, right?
Yes.
It's because there's something that they really love doing.
Yes.
And they just take the next step by, starting the business. Oh, that is so good. I love this. Those are 3 good nuggets right there. I love it. I love it. Who do you know that I should know that is equally as sharp as you?
Yep. And I tell you, they rattle off a list. Oh, I'll make that connection. Oh yeah, I'll email them. I'll text you. I'll connect you guys through text. And they just jump all over it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. I love that. Now, one of the things that, I've read about you before you came on is that, you were recognized as the Woman of the Year in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And then you journeyed your way to becoming a top executive, highlighting business or leadership proudness, how leaders can really take it up a notch. So what do you think are some of the most effective ways to empower leaders? One of our dear mentors has said that there's a leadership deficit right now.
Yes.
In our country, and dare say in the world.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the most effective ways to empower leaders to foster a culture of excellence?
Yeah.
As well as innovation on their teams?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I agree with him that we are in a leadership deficit. I serve clients from all over the world. I'm going to be going to South Africa soon again. I've got a client in Dubai, and they all say the exact same thing that we're seeing here in the United States and in North America. And so, we have to be that solution. So I love that you asked this question, because in order to do that, I really feel like, when I was Woman of the Year, I want to kind of go back there for a second. I was only 23 years old. I was literally just a year and a half out of beauty school. I was working at the first day spa in Michigan, and I just started super serving people. And I started just working the community. I worked in sororities. I donated time. I loved to educate. And I started like some personal development and growth. And then I found that I liked doing some platform work. So as I'm cutting their hair, I'm doing their makeup. And this was in the late 80s, early 90s. So it was big and it was wild. It was just such a great experience for me. And I realized that I needed to lead by example. Mm-hmm. So being the artistic director there, I trained all of our apprentices and things like that as well. We had a very large salon at the time, and I would lead by example. And to me, excellence and integrity go hand in hand. They're 2 of my top values, along with significance. But when we're leading by example, I feel that it's really important that we have a resilient can-do attitude, that we innovate. Like, there's nothing that I've ever experienced, even working from bed ill for a full year one time. Nobody knew it. It's like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other, and I'm going to find a way to make it work. And it, if you do that and you use some innovation there, it's going to inspire other people to follow you. And it also, to me, it's like a challenge. I love challenges. And so for me, it was just really getting to that place where I could believe in myself, and I had to really value myself and know that I was bringing value into the marketplace. So I think the first way to really do that is by leading by example.
Yeah, and now see, and that in and of itself is a mouthful. But Becky, one of the things that I've noticed is that there are many people that are promoted to leadership positions, but they themselves have never really been, groomed, to lead. They take someone off of what I call the line, or out of the what is it, the secretarial pile, or they take them someplace from a worker, and then they just promote them, usually the better ones, to supervisor, and then the better supervisors to manager, and nowhere along the line is there any real training.
Yes.
So in doing some of those things, I think that valuing people, as you just said, is key.
Yeah.
So drawing from your experience in direct sales, corporate roles, all of your life experience, how can our leaders, I mean, meaning entrepreneurs that are running businesses, how can they optimize their performance as leaders within their team, as well as enhance collaboration within their communities?
Yeah, that's a great question, because, if we aren't developing ourselves, there's no way that we can develop others. And that was something I learned really early on as I was working my way through. I've had a lot of different journeys on this journey, where I've been an entrepreneur. I've also worked for companies. I've worked for small business. Like I mentioned, we had a family business that was very, very successful in the Detroit area, servicing the big three automotive. And then eventually I became the vice president of sales for a very large jewelry and then a cosmetic company as well. But what I always came back to is I had to invest in myself, because if I didn't invest in myself, and I didn't, again, going back to, you got to set the example, no one else would. And I'm grateful that at times I've worked with others and been on teams where we did a lot of collaborative personal development, or I even had at one point a company do quite a bit of personal development and where they invested in me. But all in all, it came down to, I had to look for resources, tools, but even more importantly than that was the personal development of myself. Just recently I started, I'm like, I've got to figure out this AI stuff. When it first came out, about a year and a half ago, I'm like, I feel like I'm falling behind. And I can't become this old lady in business and become irrelevant, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that one. I'm right with you.
It's great because it's such a huge time saver. I use it as a thinking partner, helps me frame content and the other components of my business. And I feel like I'm staying not only relevant, but I'm coming at the front end of the curve, which makes me feel really good. But as far as going back to okay, so now that I've been investing in myself and I'm going to help others, what can I do? I think the first thing is really understanding human behavior styles and expanding my emotional intelligence. And really, especially today, more so than ever, I've always believed that I loved unconditionally and I was very inclusive, but I feel like we have to foster an inclusive culture with such intentionality right now. It's vitally important. And then make sure that the values are in alignment, that people know what their values are. How do they align with the company values? How do you align with them so that you can value absolutely every person, regardless of where they're at? But make sure that you express it. And, going back to that, love unconditionally, believe in the potential of all people, really challenge them, equip and empower them. my whole life has been built around empowering other people and helping them to see the greatness inside of them. Because I believe if you're still walking around on the planet, you haven't fulfilled your purpose yet. So you got to keep going. You got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And sometimes you need somebody to come alongside you, whether it's, someone in a leadership position, it's a good close friend like you, Anna. I've had many mentors that have invested in me and empowered me because they saw and held the belief for me in the moments that I couldn't. And then I've liked to be able to do that and turn that around for others. But I think it's important that we empower people and our teams and our leaders with autonomy, and so that there's greater ownership and engagement. And at this point, when we can really do that with all sincerity and we're aligned in our values, that's what optimizes the results, because people will do almost anything to keep that in their life. And so I would just encourage our entrepreneurs out there to really, really think about this, because, you can go on, do an offsite or do team building or do all these other things. But if they don't feel valued and you don't empower them to step into that greatness inside of them and hold that belief as they're doing it, you're never going to optimize your results. And then I also really strongly believe in a feedback culture where you have that, where you're allowing for regular feedback for continuous improvement. You make sure that, the feedback is going to help to align the business objectives. That's really promoting the growth, both personally and professionally.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. I'm glad this is being recorded. because I can't write fast enough. Oh my goodness. Well, Becky, you have mentioned several times innovation, that word, innovation, and also personal growth, making sure that you're investing in yourself. So in your journey, it's been marked by a lot of innovation and personal growth, from beauty school to partnering with John Maxwell, working at Toyota, working at all of these things. So how do you stay ahead of the curve with all the new technologies and methodologies? How can entrepreneurs adopt a similar mindset to ensure that they too will be able to grow and have some continuous improvement and success? I know that was a mouthful. That was a long.
That was, but I think I'm still tracking with that.
I'm sorry. I got carried away.
I think I'm still tracking with you. Talking about the continuous learning, I'm always listening and joining courses. I try to do a lot of, if I'm spending time on social media, it is because I'm studying. It's not that I'm just wasting my time and I'm scrolling through or whatever. Like right now, I'm really looking at what are the mechanics of TikTok? Because I haven't really invested much time or energy there. And so I've taken some courses, same thing like with the AI stuff, right? And so now I'm actually a coach for an AI company, because I'm like, no, if I'm going to learn this, I'm going to really focus on this. So I don't try to learn a ton of different things at the same time. I just really focus. So courses, conferences, podcasts, if I'm doing my hair and my makeup in the morning or whatever, there's a podcast on and I'm listening to it. I'm not going to waste the minutes of my day. And then I also do some reading as well. But, I really believe that regardless of your age or your experience, that you have to stay relevant and use that as your superpower, because a leader that, if mentors both of us, says that a true leader sees more, and they see more before. And I can't see more before if I'm focusing on a ton of different things and I'm not pouring into myself. And so, even like with the courses and the things that I take, I'm really focused on what do I need to be able to make more money. And so what can I feel like I've got the people piece in a really good place. I don't stop learning there, but now I'm adding in where I'm going to really focus on using some other tools and some other things to be able to do that. And to keep that growth mindset, we talked about being flexible, adaptable, things like that, but I had to be open to those new ideas.
Yes.
And I think sometimes it's easy, especially when you're getting up towards my age, that it's easy to get stuck or say, this is the way I've always done it. And right now, the world's changing so fast, you have to be open to those new ideas. And I had a mentor one time when I was in a think tank, and they looked at me, and he said to me, I want you. And he was talking, their room was full, but he was looking me straight in the eye and standing in front of me at the table. It was for me, not that I just kind of assumed it was for me. It was for me. He says, I want you to earn in a day what you earned last year.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, there's no way. You've got to be on drugs or something. I don't know how I could ever do that. And all these limiting beliefs came in, and all this mindset garbage came in. And I avoided my appointments and my mentorship with him because I was fearful of this. And he kept, pouring belief back into me. He kept, encouraging me. And I was able to break through that limiting belief barrier. And about 6 months later, I earned actually double in one day what I had earned the year before. Wow. And it was just, continuing bit by bit, working with a mentor, working with a coach, and, taking the courses that he told me to take, reading the books that he told me to read, pouring into myself. And, that was pretty quick, I think, to be able to do that in 6 months, to be able to break through that. So I was, implementing the tools and resources, taking the courses that he said, and then also, really looking at how I could implement, different technology and different things to be able to make that happen. I literally flew across the country in that same day, and I did 2 speaking engagements, was how I did it, and just poured into these amazing audiences. And, then they were like, oh man, I want to take that course. I want to be a part of that. And so I was able to do it really quick.
Wow, that's amazing. Now that is a, what is that? There's an acronym that I forget the name of the book. They call it BHAG, but that's that's a big, very ambitious goal for all of us. You know what I mean? Yes. Because many of us have made decent salaries and stuff like that over per annum.
Yep.
But now, what would it be like to do that in a day? Oh my goodness. Oh,
my husband and I were doing the happy dance. That's all I'm saying. It was a lot of work, and there was a lot of preparation, and I had to be strategic about it. But I mean, it happened.
It happened.
And it really wasn't with the intentionality to break that goal or to meet that. It was literally, I was just trying to maximize and serve to the greatest capacity that I could. And it just happened that both of them wanted the same day. And I said, well, if I can do you in the morning and I can do you in the evening, I can make that happen. And just thank God the flights weren't delayed. Mm-hmm. But, it happened. So that was pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing. I think I'm going to put that on my goal sheet for 2025. I don't know about for 2024, but for 2025, I think I can ramp up to get there.
Yeah, I think you can too.
Yes, I love it. So, Becky, you've shared with us that you've had some significant health and some other kinds of challenges, yet you still always managed to rise to the top, especially in the area of direct sales and in your other corporate roles. Mm-hmm. So how do you maintain your resilience and your focus during these tough times? What advice? Because, for a lot of businesses right now, especially small businesses, post COVID has still not been, easy sailing.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. And just to be very frank and honest, I know you know the story a little bit, but I just wanted to share with the audience a little bit. I was taken to the hospital to die. Like they were going to send the ambulance or allowed my parents to take and drive me. And it was just literally the grace of God that my life was spared. But in that process, it was a long recovery afterwards. And I lived on nutritional IVs for a couple of years that were $350 a day, plus, the insurance on top of that. We literally, and I had 3 babies. My oldest son had just gone nonverbal autistic. It was just a lot going on that we got to the point where we literally had to claim bankruptcy to stop the interest rates from, keep compounding on us. We reaffirmed all of our debt. We paid off all of our debt, but, we had to, literally sell everything to keep me alive. And we had to rebuild. And then I had another health challenge, not too long ago, where it's same thing. It was scary and it was very expensive. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't able to contribute to our household like I normally was. And for me, it really comes down to one thing. And there's other things that stem from it, but I'm a person of faith. And I really believe that in order to get through to the other side, if you're still breathing, because that time I went to the hospital when they thought I was going to die, like they didn't put an IV in me, nothing. Like they just put me in this room to pass away. And I just was sitting there with my parents. My dad and mom were praying over me, but I was ready to go. And then I woke up in the morning and had to go to the bathroom. And I found myself sitting in the bathroom thinking, I thought I was going to wake up and be with Jesus. Instead, I'm still here on the planet. So then I was like, oh, shit.
Toilet, no less.
On the toilet, no less. That is not a metaphor. I tell you, it really got me sober to the place where I had to ask God, then why am I still on this planet?
Yes.
And then the journey kept if I would say yes, he just kept layering and layering and layering. And I can tell you, I am in rooms with people and, dignitaries and that I never in my life would have imagined a little girl that, grew up on a farm would be in these rooms with these amazing people and they're seeking me. And I'm like, do you know who I am? But what I've done is I've continued to say yes. And I didn't let the hardships stop me. And I maintained a positive mindset. And I realized, you know what? I'm going to overcome. The enemy is not going to win. And you can say the enemy is who or whatever you want. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's in my own mind. And a lot of times it comes with, sometimes outside influences or people trying to steal my dream or people saying I can't do it. And I had to really get super clear about knowing myself. And something that I realized about myself during that time was I like to achieve. I like to accomplish, and I like to maximize. And sometimes I would do it even to the detriment of my own health. Mm. So I had to realize that I had to reprioritize some things. I also had to know what my strengths were. And I had to stay there because I always was trying to fix everything that was wrong with me. And so what I do now is I stay in my strengths and then I hire or barter out the rest. I also had to ask for some help. And that one's been real hard. That's a journey that, because I like to help other people. It's been a real journey for me. And then I had to make sure that I really feel the passion inside of me, that I don't ignore that. And the way that I do that is I stay connected to what I call my motivational why, the real reason why I do stuff, and make sure that I stay connected to that purpose. And of course, I've also adopted some extra self-care to make sure that, I'm staying in prayer, having good nutrition, quality time with my family, things like that.
Wow. Yeah. Those, I often say that being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not, but it's the most rewarding thing ever.
It is, but as you just said, really staying close to your why. Mm-hmm. Why am I really, really doing this? Mm-hmm. And being able to discern, who's for me at this point and who's not. Mm-hmm. Some people we can't get rid of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Some people we just can't get rid of, but we still need to be able to, listen as much as we can, but not take it on so that it distracts us or, deters us from where we know that we're being taken, what our real destiny is. And so I really hope that our listening and viewing audience today, as well as in the future, really take the time to reflect
Sure.
on why is it that you're doing this? and so that you can maintain your resilience during tough times, because tough times will come.
Yeah.
They will come. There's, just keep living. They will come. You know?
And you said something really important that I think a lot of people miss too, is you have to be careful who you allow to speak into your life and into your business. And it isn't always just, the people that might steal your dream. It can be the people that get you comfortable and they're not stretching you. And so you've got to make sure that you're hanging out with coaches, mentors, friends, inner circle people that are really going to stretch you as well, that you should always feel a little tension around growth. And so I think a lot of people miss that part about, those people around you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for bringing up that point, because it is critical.
Yeah.
Look, being comfortable, being in that comfort zone has derailed and put the cap on many entrepreneurs that really could be taking their business to a whole different height without compromising family and faith.
Absolutely.
And things that are important to them. So absolutely right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so your work with, and I forgot to ask about this. I forgot to actually mention it, but you've done some work with a lot of different companies and nonprofits, including the Red Cross. Oh my goodness. Like, you are just nonstop Energizer bunny. How did, those experiences with working with, the Red Cross, other direct sales companies, lead you to coaching? Because I know that that's definitely one of the things that you love about, about helping people, how you help people to grow.
Yeah. So I love coaching, and I'll explain in just a second how I discovered it, but I love it because it taps into the greatness that's already inside of the individual that you're coaching. Yes. And so I don't have to bring all the answers, be the master guru of something amazing in my life, right? I don't have to be that number one expert. I can help them be the number one expert in their life or in their business. And so that's what I really love about coaching. But I actually was working with the Red Cross when my brother's house burnt down. And I was helping put into place some of the things for my brother and sister-in-law to put their lives back together. We had just declared bankruptcy, bought a trailer from the Amish they were using for animals and put it back into where we could live in it. And I hate to say this, but we were using 5-gallon pickle buckets for plumbing for our clean water and our dirty water, and running an electric cord for my dad's milk house. I mean, we were when I say we were destitute, and I wasn't used to that, right? But I was still alive. We were going to keep moving forward until something else was going to happen.
Yes, yes.
I found a catalog of this direct sales company, and I literally thought Mary Kay ladies made lips, or, they didn't make money. They got lipstick and they got a pink car somehow. And the Tupperware lady, she's got a garage full of Tupperware. So she must earn Tupperware and a van. I didn't know you made money at this. And that's how I and I'll just say kind of fell into it, because I literally, even after I did my first show for my cousin who insisted that I do it, and I didn't do anything. It was awful. When I look back at it, I'm how it was only God blessing me. I just wanted to connect with some women. I wanted to make her happy. And I had almost $1,000 in cash left over from my first show. And I called my sponsor, who I didn't even know, and I called her. I'm am I the host? Am I the sponsor? Am I this? What am I? And I'm what do you do with this? What do I do with this $1,000? She's like, that's your commission. And I'm what? I'm my trailer costs $2,000. So I was that's half my trailer. Seriously, I was oh my goodness. Well, I adapted at that time to continue to live into my authentic self. And I said, I just want to be a blessing. And if this grows, great. If it doesn't, okay, that's fine. And I became the number 3 person in the country. I was the number 1 person in my state many times. And it was for not just selling, but it was for inviting other women to do the same thing.
Yes.
And I also, for all of my hosts or people that would invite me into their home, I would dedicate a day to prayer to them. And I can't tell you the lives that were changed. And that's what I was doing it for, was for the life change. But I can tell you, I mean, it's led me to the place where I am now, where like literally my first book, that the first gift or award that I received was The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I started reading it. I didn't really enjoy it, but I knew my vice president was going to ask me about it. And so I continued. And then I got about 3 or 4 chapters in. I fell in love. I couldn't like even sleep. I was so in love with this personal development. And I thought, I can see how this is going to help so many people. And I just started applying the principles of what I was learning. And while I really kind of felt like I heard God whisper to my heart that I would work with John Maxwell someday. Now, this was before Google. So like I couldn't even Google him or anything. And I mentioned it to somebody. I'm like, have you ever heard of this author? Showing him the book. Like, oh yeah, that guy's a pastor in San Diego. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, I'm not moving to California. I got these 3 babies. I'm homeschooling. All this stuff. I got this business. So I put it on the shelf. And like 12 years later, I got a call and they said, John Maxwell's thinking about starting a company. And we hear you're a really great coach. And the reason why I became a coach was because my direct sales company wasn't going to give us another level to achieve. And I was getting bored. They were flying me all over the country to train and do different things. But I was bored. And so I actually met a coach at a speaking engagement, and she did a coaching session for me. And I'm like, I fell in love with the process. However, it was really strange because it took me 6 sessions for me to be able to answer, what did I really want? That was the first time in my life I was ever asked that. I'd always been somebody's mother, wife, whatever. And once I really identified that, I knew that this was my trajectory. I wanted to make a difference for entrepreneurial women. I work with tons of men, but I really wanted entrepreneurial women to be successful, especially if they would minister in the marketplace by just showing up as their authentic self, being loving and caring, and making a difference. I've been a television host on a major broadcasting network. I've done all kinds of these amazing things just because I wanted to show up as my authentic self and add value to others by pulling out the greatness inside of them. And so, I love a holistic approach to life. I think it's so important. And I think it's so important to like how we coach and things like that. Yeah. What I like to really base things off of, kind of like a framework for a lot of the coaching that I do, is to look at strengths. I call it my 5S system. And it's really looking at strengths, looking at strategies, because without strategy, your execution is going to be aimless. So I look at that. I look at like SOPs and consistency, what's your go, flow, and grow. How can we simplify things? Stop overcomplicating things. Especially what I see with entrepreneurs is we overcomplicate how we get money from other individuals and how we get paid. So I like to simplify that. And to super serve, know your customer, how you're their pain reliever, how you can super serve them and exceed their expectations with excellence. And when I apply this system, whether it's inside of corporations with leadership teams, which I love working with multi-generational leadership teams, or if I'm working with a solopreneur, I use this same kind of framework, but it always goes back to really valuing you and your strengths, goes back to showing up as your authentic self and moving from that space.
That is so amazing. And so, I think that is a clear lesson for a lot of entrepreneurs, is just what she said. Really show up as your authentic self. Really be committed to what's happening in the marketplace and in your business. Be committed to showing up for your people.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of rephrasing it in my words, but these things are so critical. You're not necessarily the person that's going to stay there and, kind of beat them over the head. Becky even said earlier, help them to buy in, basically. So that, and people do like that. I know some of the best managers that I've ever had were the ones that said, well, they didn't have to say it. They gave me the autonomy.
Yes.
And I could not do more for them than there wasn't anything that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're absolutely right. Becky, I can't believe it's almost. This is like amazing. Um, are there any, final takeaways as we wrap up? I know that there are things that you're doing. I know that you're writing some courses. How can people get in touch with you? All of that kind of stuff. So start with the takeaways.
Okay, let's start with the takeaways. I think for me, if I were listening today, I would want you to really be able to really take some time to process what we've talked about, really internalize it, embrace resilience. You are an overcomer. You are in the right place at the right time, even if you feel like, you're too old or you miss your time or you've wasted this or what. Let all that stuff go. Stay focused, value yourself and believe in yourself, and keep moving forward. Value relationships, because honestly, that's really all we have at the end of the day. Build and nurture those strong relationships, whether it's your team, your customers, your mentors, the people around you. They're really your greatest asset. And really commit to growth. I think the final thing is commit to growth. Stay curious, embrace change, always seek ways to improve yourself and your business, and you're going to be successful. You really will. If you don't quit and you don't stop, I promise you will be successful. And there's going to be other people that are going to see that tenacity. They're going to see that resilience. They're going to see that something, that special essence about you. They're going to want to come alongside you. And sometimes those are the greatest places for growth. And they'll propel you so much further than if you were striving and really trying to make it happen.
Oh, that is so good, Becky. I love that. I love that. And what about how can people get in touch with you? What new and exciting courses or
Yes.
workshops are you about to do that our listeners or those that are currently watching or viewing this can reach out to you and find out more?
Yeah. So you can reach out to me. I'm going to give you guys my personal email because I value you so much. And because you're Anna's audience, I want to make sure that we directly connect. There's nobody between us. So my email is Becky, Becky at leadersempowered.com. And right now I'm super excited because we are just on the crux of just a few weeks away of launching a course that I've reinvented. And I'm adding if you want to be able to do anything in your business, and I sincerely mean this course is going to be so amazing for you because I'm going to teach how to write winning proposals. Because what I found when I first started my consulting business is I didn't do it the right way. And I kept struggling and I get no's and I'm like, oh man, what am I doing wrong? And so this has been, I've spent a lot of money learning how to do this. I've lost a lot of contracts learning how to do this. And I've also gained amazing contracts by learning to do this. So my course is actually going to be called Proposals That Convert, How to Write Proposals That Win Contracts. And it's going to be available really soon. So if you want information on that, just email me at Becky's@leadersempowered.com. But I want to help you make money, and I want you to be able to do it much quicker. Talking about all the things that we talked about today, right? I'm going to show you quick ways to do it, give you templates to be able to make that happen. I'm going to even offer some options where you can work with me or even come to my home and we're going to work one-on-one for a full day to get you to the place where you are securing business or you're taking the business to a whole new level and up-leveling it by getting bigger contracts. I've had over $1 million in contracts. And I can tell you, like some of the people that I've recently worked with, they took their income from, year one to doubling year two, tripling year three. I had just somebody tell me the other day that they used this exact template and process, and they secured a very significant multiple six-figure contract. And they had tried to get into this company 4 times before, and they were able to get in because of this course. So I'm excited about that. So if you guys want to connect with me about that, and I've got some other business building courses and things like that coming out soon.
Becky, this has been a real treat. First of all, thank you so much for, making the time for me and my audience today. I really, really hope that people really take the time to review if they haven't listened all the way through, or they ran out of ink like I just did.
I hate when that happens.
I do too. To take advantage of all that you have shared with us this evening. So again, I just want to thank you, for being our guest here on the Urban Entrepreneur Show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Anna. It's really been a pleasure. I always love spending time with you. And I know that your audience is just as amazing as you are. I'm really passionate about wanting them to get the help that they deserve. And so thank you for having me. And thank you for, just making this a really great experience.
Well, thank you. And for our listening and viewing audience, again, I wanted to thank my guest this evening, Becky Spieth. And I just want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for being here with us week after week, show after show, learning and growing from the amazing guests that I bring to you. Now, the show was sponsored by Thrive Leadership Institute. We are your go-to source for coaching, training, and other personal and professional things that will supercharge your business. If you want to reach out to us and find out more, please reach out to us at thriveleadershipinstitute.com. And if you are an entrepreneur and you have an amazing story to tell, some tips, some strategies that you would like to be able to share with other entrepreneurs, then please don't hesitate to find out more about the show and to even register. So, and that's at theurbanentrepreneurshow.com. And so, again, you can reach out to Becky by going to Becky at leadersempowered.com. And until next time, I just want to say thank you, Becky, and thank you, everyone. And we will see you the next time. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.